Imagine waking up every day with no safety, no comfort, just danger at every turn. For prehistoric humans, life was a brutal fight for survival. Deadly predators, unforgiving weather, and invisible threats like disease made every moment a gamble. But was it just the beasts in the cold, or was something even darker at play? Today, we're diving deep into that savage world to uncover the brutal truth about what it really meant to stay alive back then. So, buckle up. This journey isn't for the faint-hearted. Are you ready to face the harsh, unforgiving truth about prehistoric life? Now picture the world our early ancestors stepped into. Vast, wild, and utterly untamed. Imagine endless forests, sweeping plains, and rocky mountains that stretched for miles, all filled with dangers far beyond what we encounter today. Mammoths, towering with massive tusks, roamed these lands like living tanks. Saber-toothed cats, with razor-sharp teeth and silent stalking skills, hunted relentlessly in the shadows. Then there were venomous snakes, huge spiders, and aggressive insects, ready to strike at the slightest provocation. How did these early humans even stand a chance with just the simplest of stone tools? Every day was a high-stakes game of survival against not just one, but countless threats. They had no shelters built yet, no weapons to keep predators at bay easily. The wilderness was an obstacle course designed by nature itself to crush any who weren't quick-thinking, brave, and incredibly resourceful. So, what strategies did they develop to survive such merciless environments? And how did the sheer terror of these creatures shape the human spirit even before civilization began? The answers reveal a story of raw courage and constant danger. Now imagine being exposed to the raw forces of nature every single day. Freezing cold that seeps into your bones during brutal Ice Age winters, or scorching heat that turns the land into a barren wasteland. The cold slices through your bones, and there's no fire, no house, no jacket, just you, exposed. Now flip that. Imagine blistering heat during summer, no shade for miles, your skin burning under the relentless sun. There were no safe places to hide when violent storms rolled in. Thunder cracked across the sky, lightning split trees in half, and rains flooded everything in minutes. In those moments, early humans had to find shelter or face death. But as terrifying as the weather was, it wasn't even the worst part. Nightfall brought out predators. Massive carnivores. You couldn't see them, but you could hear them. A growl, a twig snap. You held your breath, hoping to see the sunrise. The dark wasn't peaceful. It was a death trap. Every sound could be your last. Every night, survival felt like winning the lottery. And every dawn was a miracle. The nightmare didn't end with weather or predators. Hunger was the shadow that never left. It stalked early humans day and night, always waiting to strike. Finding food wasn't a routine. It was a daily battle, full of risk and uncertainty. Hunting wasn't optional. It was survival. But imagine going after a towering mammoth or a charging woolly rhinoceros with nothing but sharpened sticks or crude stone-tipped spears. You had no protective gear, no strategy manuals, just courage and desperation. If the hunt failed, your tribe didn't eat. Period. Starvation crept in quickly, weakening bodies and breaking spirits. And when you couldn't hunt, you turned to the land. But even gathering plants wasn't safe. Eat the wrong root, and it could kill you slowly and painfully. The knowledge of what was safe to eat wasn't written down. It was learned through bitter trial and error. That pressure to feed not just yourself, but your children, your elders, your entire community was immense. And when resources grew scarce, tribes didn't always share. Conflict could break out, sometimes violently. Food meant life, and life was a fierce, unforgiving competition. Hunger didn't just gnaw at your belly, it tore at your mind, your body, and your very will to keep going. As if weather, predators, and hunger weren't enough, early humans had to fight invisible enemies that were just as deadly: disease and injury. These threats didn't come with growls or flashing teeth. They came silently, creeping into wounds, spreading through coughs, striking in the night with no warning. Today, a small cut or a fever might send us to a doctor or urgent care. Back then, it could be a death sentence. Without antibiotics or antiseptics, even the tiniest wound could spiral into something fatal. A simple splinter could become infected, swell with pus, and lead to sepsis. A toothache could mean agony for weeks, and then death. A broken bone wasn't just painful, it was a sentence to immobility. If you couldn't walk, you couldn't follow the group. You couldn't hunt, you couldn't escape danger. That meant you were a liability. And in a world where survival depended on movement, speed, and strength, being left behind wasn't cruelty, it was necessity. There were no hospitals, no splints, no understanding of how the body healed, just pain, and a hope that the body might somehow fix itself. And then there was childbirth. Today we have delivery rooms, fetal monitors, trained professionals, and medicine to ease the pain. But back then it was raw, terrifying, and deadly. A woman giving birth was risking her life every single time. There were no tools, no sanitation, and no help beyond a pair of hands and whatever instincts her companions had. Many women didn't survive. Many babies didn't either. The miracle of life often came with the shadow of death. Illness and injury struck without warning, and recovery wasn't guaranteed. Sometimes, survival comes down to luck. Sometimes, it depended on whether someone in the group cared enough to help carry you, tend to your wound, or bring you food when you couldn't move. Kindness wasn't just compassion. It was a survival strategy. Community mattered. But the damage wasn't just physical. Imagine the emotional toll of living like that. Watching your child grow pale with fever, knowing you were powerless to help. Seeing someone you love fade away day by day from an infected wound. The constant awareness that death could come from anywhere, at any time. The stress, the grief, the trauma. These weren't occasional experiences. They were part of everyday life. The human spirit was tested again and again, worn thin by fear and helplessness. And yet, our ancestors endured. They didn't just survive, they adapted. They learned from pain. They passed down knowledge through word and ritual. They grew stronger, more resourceful, more resilient. That refusal to give in, to collapse under the weight of suffering, became one of the defining traits of our species. In the face of constant danger and unrelenting hardship, they kept going. And because they did, we're here today. Did you know that prehistoric humans rarely lived past the age of 30? In some cases, especially during the harshest periods, life expectancy hovered even lower. That might sound shocking when compared to modern times, where many people live comfortably into their 70s, 80s, or beyond. Today, we benefit from clean water, modern hospitals, life-saving vaccines, and a solid understanding of hygiene, essentials that have dramatically increased our lifespan. But back then, those luxuries didn't exist. Every day was a battle against starvation, predators, exposure, and sickness. And while average life expectancy was low, it wasn't because people aged rapidly. It was because so many died young. Childhood mortality was heartbreakingly high. A small infection, a bad fall, or an unlucky animal encounter could end a life within hours. The numbers may feel abstract, but they represent real lives, real people who endured unimaginable hardship. If someone lived past 30, they were seen as incredibly lucky or unusually strong. Every scar told a story, every limp was proof of survival. When we look at the statistics, we're not just seeing numbers. We're seeing evidence of human resilience carved into the bone. These brutal realities shaped our evolution and taught us just how tough humans had to be just to exist. So what gave early humans the strength to carry on through such a brutal existence? It wasn't just luck, it was willpower, adaptability, and an unshakable drive to survive. Our ancestors didn't just endure hardship, they learned from it. They started shaping stones into blades and crafting spears to hunt more effectively. They discovered how to control fire, not only for warmth and cooking, but for protection from predators and extending their hours of safety after dark. Fire was a literal and symbolic light in the darkness. Over time, they began building small communities, tight-knit groups that shared food, protected one another, and worked together to survive. These early tribes were more than just practical alliances. They were the beginnings of human society. Still, innovation didn't eliminate danger. A sharper spear helped, but it didn't guarantee safety. Fire kept animals at bay, but not hunger or sickness. Progress was slow and hard-won, and every tool, every discovery was born out of necessity and pain. Even the smallest breakthrough, like tying stones to sticks or creating shelters, was revolutionary at the time. Early humans didn't wait for nature to give them a break. They adapted and carved out survival with creativity, grit, and cooperation. That was their edge. When we look back on their lives, it's not just a horror story. It's a story of triumph, of perseverance against impossible odds, and it's a reminder that no matter how hard things get, the human capacity to survive and thrive is written deep in our DNA. Their story is our story. Their grit is still in us, waiting to rise when it's needed most. Now take a moment and put yourself in their shoes. Imagine waking up every day knowing the odds are stacked against you. No food guaranteed, no safe place to sleep, no one coming to help. Would you have the courage to keep going? Could you brave the darkness, the hunger, the fear? Would you find the strength to protect your tribe, to face down predators with nothing but a sharpened stick, to walk miles with blistered feet just for a handful of berries? For our ancient ancestors, this wasn't hypothetical. This was their everyday reality. They didn't have the luxury of quitting. Each day demanded everything they had, physically, mentally, emotionally. And still, they pushed forward. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the sheer, stubborn will to live another day. Whatever it was, it speaks volumes about the human spirit. Their lives were defined by suffering, yet they carved a path to survival, step by agonizing step. The next time life feels impossible, remember them. Remember that your blood carries the strength of those who refuse to give up, no matter how bleak it seemed. You're here because they kept going. That same grit lives in you. It's easy to forget how far we've come. How every warm bed, every meal, every moment of peace we enjoy today was built on the bones of a brutal past. These weren't just stories from a distant time. They were real lives, lived with grit, fear, and unmatched determination. And if this journey has opened your eyes even a little to the incredible strength buried deep in our human history, then I hope it stays with you the next time life gets tough. If you found this video compelling, if it made you reflect or gave you chills thinking about what humans once endured, please take a moment to like the video and hit that subscribe button. There's so much more to explore in the dark corners of history.